Joyce Valdez here with Randy Couture for CraveMMA.com. How you doing tonight, Randy?
Hey, Joyce, how are you?
I'm good. Haven't seen you in a while. You've been off making a movie. Can you tell us the Expendables is wrapped up, part 2?
Yeah, Expendables 2 is wrapped up. We wrapped up just after New Year's. Shot the last week in New Orleans, and then they went to Hong Kong to pick up some stuff with Jet Li. It'll come out August 12th, so very excited. It's going to be huge.
Early on in the production, we heard about a stuntman who was hurt and lost his life, wasn't it?
Actually, we had 2 hurt, and one of them didn't make it. So it was, very sombering, and unfortunately, especially when you're making a big action film like this one, it happens occasionally, and something I've never been aware of. I didn't realize that, but after talking to some of the more experienced actors like Sly, it's not the first time he's had things like that happen. So, yeah, it definitely changed the mood on set for a couple of weeks, and the stunt crew especially felt it. Danny, the other gentleman that was hurt, got flown to Munich and recovered fully from his injuries, but they were pretty serious. And so,
are you the kind of guy that wanted to do your own stunts, and did this kind of play in that maybe not so safe?
Well, we do our own as much as we can, but when you're dealing with a huge movie like this one, there's no way you can be everywhere and do everything, and there are certain things that the insurance company is just not going to let you do.
But they'll let Tom Cruise do it.
It's questionable. I think, to be honest, I think some of that's a bunch of horseshit. I think there are just some things they're not going to let you do, because if you get injured, they can't finish the film, and they're out a ton of jack. So there are just some things they're not going to let you do. I don't care who you are. So, and that's just been my experience so far. Obviously, I'm a greenhorn. I'm pretty new at all this. This has been my 16th motion picture, and obviously the biggest one I've been involved with to date.
Have you been taking acting classes, or do you just go film by film? You feel you're getting better and better?
I got my first opportunity about 7 years ago with Cradle to the Grave, and immediately was intrigued by the whole process and being behind the scenes and seeing a set. I went right out and started taking acting classes, got a real agent, and since then I've worked with a couple different acting coaches. I've been with the same acting coach now for a couple of years. He's tremendous. He helps me really kind of dial in and focus in on the characters I'm trying to find. It's like fighting. There's tools. You got to learn the ropes and kind of figure out how to play these characters and relate to them.
Is there anything you're more interested in right now, like playing a really dramatic role or comedy?
Those are definitely things I definitely want to do. There's been a bunch of pitches. You read a lot of scripts. I would love to be involved in a Western, a romantic comedy, or a comedy in general. I think would be a lot of fun. I think I have a very unique and kind of dry sense of humor that most people don't get. And so to kind of show that side of myself would be a lot of fun. And so, of course, everybody's going to push me into the action genre with the physicality of the sport that I've been involved with for the last 15 years. So, and I'm fine with that. I love that genre. But at the same time, I want to be able to spread out a little bit and do some other things.
Well, it's great to see you out there acting, but we definitely miss you in the octagon. Are you itching to get back at all, or do you feel very good, like never again?
I feel very, very comfortable with my decision. I think it's a unique thing as an athlete in this day and age to be able to go out on your own terms and choose, this is going to be my last fight. Win, lose, or draw. And it took me a while to kind of get comfortable with that decision. And certainly now in the aftermath, I'm glad that I made the decision I made. I didn't want to wait till I'd suffered an injury or lost a couple fights and everybody's chattering and forcing me to make a decision. I got to do it on my own terms.
Are you still paying attention to UFC fights? Do you still watch it seems like every week there's one. So are you still watching all the fights? And
it's amazing. The pace has been ridiculous with 3 networks now under Fox with Fuel and FX and of course the big Fox shows. Getting the nod to do some commentary and color for the big Fox shows has been very, very cool. And I'm a huge fan of the sport at the end of the day. So I've got a group of guys, 30 guys in the gym that are fighting on a regular basis. I want to know what they're doing, who they're fighting, and be involved in that as much as I can. So it's been fun.
Ron Frazier recently announced that he's going over to Tap Out, I'm assuming to fill the place of Sean Tompkins. Do you have somebody filling in for him, or is he going to be going between the two gyms?
Ron made a decision financially. He's got a family. He's got a young daughter, and unfortunately at Extreme Couture, we haven't been able to meet his needs in that regard. And he's been a loyal friend and a great part of team of Extreme Couture for a long time now, and he got a better offer basically, and Tap Out's lucky to have him. You know, as an athlete, I fail to see the performance-enhancing qualities of THC and marijuana. And if I heard my opponent was getting high every weekend, I'd be pretty ecstatic that was the case. So I just don't see it. I don't understand how that's included in the list. I get that it's an illegal drug still in most places. I do understand there are some places, even here in Nevada and California, that it is legal. And if you have a prescription and that's part of treatment for something that you feel you need that for, then I don't really see the big deal. I understand that, with the Diaz fight, and this is his second time coming up positive, and the ADHD and all the things that have been brought to light since that happened, I don't know. I just don't see it as an issue. I think that the general public doesn't really care. The media and the commissions that are in charge of regulating that sort of thing have made a bigger deal out of it than it really needs to be. But as long as the commissions are going to regulate it, it's still an infraction and it has to be enforced.
You a Diaz fan?
I love to watch both the boys fight. Nate and Nick are amazing competitors, and what they do in the cage is very, very impressive to me. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of some of the stuff that goes on outside of the cage with both of them. And maybe a little less so with Nate. I've had better experiences with Nate, but everybody's wired differently. They do the things they need to do to compete, and Nick and Nate both, that's just the way they're wired. They have to create that kind of animosity and that kind of attitude to go and do what they do, and I still respect that. So I don't need to weigh in either way. Not everybody's going to be like me.
Not everyone's going to be a nice guy.
It would be pretty boring if they were.
Well, thank you for talking to us. Always a pleasure, Randy.
My pleasure. Thank you.